Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
What's up? What's down? What is going on around? I'm Paolo Lee Singh, founder of StartupTaiwan.com. This show is to answer your questions about starting up in Taiwan, either for business, school, or just hanging around. So leave your questions in the comments section below. Our guest is Joseph from the US, and he's been here with us. He's been our guest previously. Joseph is the founder and CEO of Stride 360, a company that helps people get the complete gym experience in their homes. Joseph built out the first version of Stride that switches between exercise bike and elliptical trainer to make his workouts easier, especially in the winter, later expanding to include rowing and ski. The machine comes with an open social fitness platform to motivate users to maintain their stride towards a healthier life, pun intended. Joseph finished his Bachelor of Science Information Management Information Technology from Syracuse University. And for all our viewers out there, if you need to know more about Joseph and Stride 360, I will put all the links in the description below. But let us all welcome our guest once again, Joseph. Hi.
Hi, Paolo.
Okay, our topic for today is one of the most requested, and we felt that you are the best person to give light on this topic. It's all about Entrepreneur Visa and Gold Card. And I think you are the first, if not the only, first person to have switched from an Entrepreneur Visa to a Gold Card. So let's start with the first question. Why did you apply for the Gold Cards?
Well, the shortest answer to that is that it was the easiest way to have a legal labor permit. While there is, perhaps you will never be caught or get into trouble for working in Taiwan with an entrepreneurship visa if you're working on a startup. It's a legal gray area, and Gold Card has almost an unlimited labor permit. And this by itself was sufficient reason because I want to do things above board and within the law.
Are there any significant benefits for having a Gold Card compared to just having an Entrepreneur Visa?
There are a number of what I would consider significant benefits. If you are willing to pay the money, you can get a 3-year visa. That is a pretty big benefit in my mind. You can get some small benefits like expedited in and out of the country. I think you have unlimited exit and entrance, and also expedited entrance into the country. I think that it has some tax benefits, although I don't take advantage of those, so I can't speak to those. But I think above a certain salary, you get some certain tax discounts. I think you also get some additional attention from the government.
Okay, so when you mention about the small money, you're pertaining to the availability of your own funds to start your business, right?
No. If you if you file Taiwanese taxes and you make above a certain amount, you get a discount if you have a Gold Card, I believe. But I am not a tax or legal expert, and this is not tax or legal advice.
Okay.
But I think that is the benefit that I recently learned. There are some other benefits. I think that it may pertain to APRC, permanent residency, but those laws haven't come into effect, is my understanding, so it may not matter.
Okay.
But I think my visa journey started a lot before entrepreneurship visa. I've held at least 4 and maybe as many as 6 different types of visas, just for Taiwan. And it was a very, very, very confusing process. And it involved me exiting and entering the country. It involved me talking with a lot of different government officials. I did not qualify under making a lot of money for my Gold Card. But you have some questions, so you should kind of dive in and we can kind of explore some of the points I just made.
Sure. First question is, did you try to extend your entrepreneur visa? And then the other question is, why didn't you stay with an entrepreneur visa if so?
I think that if you have a lot of revenue, whether your business is profitable or not, entrepreneurship visa might be a good option. I found that it had a lot of questions and a lot of challenges, and just wasn't what I was advised to get it. I got it. I didn't find it that useful. I think the gold card is a better visa, just how it's structured. It makes a lot of things easier. I think
Okay.
the government really tried to give it a lot of benefits and to make things clear. And I think the entrepreneurship visa is something where it's still very difficult to operate your business. This is my opinion. No, I did not try to renew it. That was actually a point of stress because I got to the end of my 1 year, I think, and didn't meet the criteria. I was trying to understand the visa environment. This was during kind of, I would say, the height of kind of COVID paranoia, both here and abroad. Not when they had level 3, but when there was, I think, the first of their 2 little local outbreaks. And I got an extension because I wrote a letter saying that COVID had presented difficulties to my company, which is true. COVID presented a lot of difficulties. And so they offered me I want to say 90 or 120-day extension. And during that period, I applied for Gold Card.
Okay. So, if I may ask, so first of all, entrepreneur visa is just 1 year, while a gold card is 3 years. This is correct?
Yeah.
Right? Say it again, please.
If you pay the extra money,
You will get the 3 years for the gold card.
you have to pay more money to get it to be the 3 years, but it's not a lot.
Okay. So what is your...
There's an additional fee. Just so your viewers know.
Okay. What is your opinion about the entrepreneur visa, and what do you think is the purpose of an entrepreneur visa?
The government's purpose? I don't know. I think that they call it an entrepreneurship visa, and I'm definitely an entrepreneur, right? I'm starting an international company where we're trying to manufacture a connected exercise machine and then sell that in other countries. So I would say I am definitely an entrepreneur, but I didn't think that this visa made it easier to do import-export. It didn't make it easier to have a labor permit. It didn't necessarily give me any contact person to navigate some of Taiwan's laws. I think the gold card just generally has more resources. I'm not saying it's perfect, but there are people you can actually contact. I think that the labor permit is available. I think that the government sees you as an important person, and that can be valuable. I think the government sort of created it because they want to have more entrepreneurship, but I think in some ways the government is always doing a lot of different programs, and I think some of them are good and some of them are bad and some of them overlap. And it's very, very difficult to navigate. And I think even the staff of these programs and the government officials are sometimes confused. And a lot of the websites are not necessarily in English. So it's not, if Chinese is not a language you can read and speak, especially legalistic government Chinese, you're going to want to probably seek some help. It is really not the easiest.
Okay. So had you not gotten the gold card, what were your options to be able to stay in Taiwan and run your startup?
I'm not sure. That I was advised by, I think, my Taiwanese lawyers and my by a Taiwanese accountant through the government, because the government runs a free accounting clinic. The gold card was my #1 best option. Like they gave me some other options, but there really wasn't a second good option. I'm really fortunate where the government views my previous experience and my current startup as expertise in IoT. So I am a expert according to the Ministry of Science and Technology, I believe it is. MOST, I think is what they call it, as an IoT expert. That's what it says on my actual gold card, which is actually very rare. There are not very many people that qualify in this category.
Okay. So for our audience information, are you as a gold card holder exempt from putting up the 500,000 capital that is required to hire yourself by your own company?
So I will speak because I think that it's better. So we had already moved money into this country greater than that amount.
Correct.
But because of some legal things, I made some poor legal choices. I bought an entity instead of forming an entity. The directorship was not available to me. We're not going to get into why that is. It's very complicated.
Okay.
So even though I had put the money in, that wasn't a way for me to get a visa. So I had to qualify as an expert, and I did.
And as an expert, you basically, as a gold card holder, you basically have an open work permit, which means if you open a company, you don't need to hire yourself. Therefore, you are not legally required to put up a 500,000 capital for any company who is owned by
I
a
can't
foreign.
speak to the capital requirements, but I think that there are some requirements that exist. The gold card, in many cases, allows you to waive requirements.
Okay.
But before gold card and before entrepreneurship visa, I was here through a government project that I was doing in collaboration with Sigfox, through sponsored through university, and I also used my American. I guess it's like you get 180 days, I think, or 120 days.
Mhm.
So I landed on that, left the country, came back in as this special visa for the research project. So I went to Hong Kong for a week during the protests, came back, then eventually switched to entrepreneurship visa, extended entrepreneurship visa, and got gold card.
Oh,
There's more to the story, but that's roughly the series of events.
okay. So, how hard or easy is it to get or to apply for a gold card? Did it help that you already have or had an entrepreneur visa?
No, it did not. I don't think that was a consideration whatsoever as far as I could tell. And it's not, I wouldn't call it hard. I would call the process, I don't know if your audience knows the word opaque or maybe the term black box, where the government gives you some forms, which may be in English and maybe in Chinese, or maybe in some English that has been translated from some Chinese, which is especially difficult because it doesn't, you're not quite sure what they mean. It's maybe no one's fault. So then you try to provide what asked for, you send it in. Maybe you send it to the right place. Maybe you send it to the wrong place. Maybe they send it over, or maybe you send it to both places. Then you have to go stamp this place and that place and the other place. And then you wait, and then they send you an email that there's a problem, and then you have to change things. But the email with the problem doesn't necessarily tell you what the problem was, so you have to guess. And this is not a hypothetical. These are everything I just described happened in this process.
But in terms of the requirements, are they fairly lenient? For example, I know that the 160,000 NT salary per month is not the only way. It's not the only area that they look at. They look at the expertise. But how do they certify that you are really an expert in one of the fields that they are looking into?
I can only say what I provided and what they accepted because I can't speak beyond my knowledge. I provided a series of projects that I had done over a number of years, including the one in Taiwan, but also my current business is an IoT business. I had built prototypes with other people. I had published, I think, at least 2 different things on Hackaday, which is a website for electronics. I had published things on Instructables on how to build different things. I had built privately for people for money different IoT things. Like I helped build a remote sensing traffic camera that, and I did a lot of the electronics for that. It was not the most complicated thing, but it was something I had built. I had a metal and fabrication background, so I built a lot of metal objects. I just generally had a lot of experience in building and some experience in electronics and IoT. And my current business is also in IoT. It's like the company name, I think, is IoT Limited. So I think that I was in a particularly good position, but they still asked for a lot of additional documentation. And I had some former clients and people I'd worked with send letters to accompany my submission saying, this person knows about this area, this is something that they did for me, and the government took that as sufficient. It's also worth noting, as we said in the intro, that I have a bachelor's of science, and that may have helped as well.
Okay, I think these informations are really helpful. And just for the record, I think it's a common misconception that we need to talk about, that every applicant must have that salary requirement, 160,000 per month. If you don't mind, do you have that?
That's the most common way, but I think that the government is actually pretty flexible because so few people apply the other ways. I think I've advised one or two friends on how to navigate. And these are people that I think Taiwan will benefit from having. You know, these are computer programmers, these are electrical engineers that heard about or want to be in Taiwan for various reasons. And that Taiwan will benefit. A lot of these people are remote workers, so they get their money from abroad, but they want the lifestyle of living in Asia. They hear good things about Taiwan. But the things that they have to know, because, you know, I visited a Taitra office before I came to Taiwan, Taiwanese Trade Office, which is effectively their consulate. And I don't want to be disrespectful to any government officials, but I feel like they could have offered additional advice so that I could be more successful. That's how I will put it.
Okay. Okay. So for the record, this salary requirement is just one of the many things that anyone could apply for. You could be earning less, but if you could prove that you are an expert in one of the fields that the government listed.
Paulo, you're misstating. There are different categories. The salary category is one of a number of categories. It's not like they're all together. You have to go through. There's actually a gold card website, and it'll say which categories you might apply under. They have like a survey that you can take, and then it will suggest which categories are most appropriate.
Yes, that's exactly what I was trying to get at. So it's the salary is a separate thing, and then the expertise is another thing. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And there are different levels of expertise. Like there is expertise like of national importance, like you have won the Nobel Prize. And then there are people like me have not won the Nobel Prize, but I still was considered an expert within a domain.
Got it. So yeah, we recently put out an article citing the experiences of some of the gold card holders who were not able to find jobs that fit them. So maybe they're like expert in the finance field, but either because they don't speak the language or that the salary level is too low for them, they moved out of Taiwan. What is your opinion on this?
I have a complicated opinion about this. I think some of them have unrealistic expectations where they should maybe accept a little bit lower salary. I think sometimes they want maybe a little bit too much. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, I think a lot of Taiwanese employers miss the opportunity of having, you know, a Waigoren employee that can give them some perspective, especially in sales and marketing and doing international business. I think that while the quality of the work that is produced here is often very good, communications and business strategy, I think that there is an inflexibility of business culture, and the employers should be more open-minded. I think that maybe there is some way to do a public-private partnership where the employers feel like they have less risk, or they have somebody that they can use to kind of act as a cushion. Because I work a lot with the government, and one of the ways that I've had more success is when there is somebody acting as an intermediary. Because if you're speaking with someone who only speaks Chinese, they can get very frustrated about something that maybe you as a foreigner don't think doesn't even register. It's not a big deal. It's not something that occurs to you.
Correct.
So I think I think that there should be more employment opportunities. I think some of it is the companies not being open. I think some of it is the people with the skills not willing to accept maybe a little bit less. And I think that there is maybe a role for the government to play. The government likes to play a role in kind of different areas of life in Taiwan. And I'm actually a little surprised that they're not more active in that.
Oh, I'm sure they're working on it. One more question. Do you think that the gold card is only suitable for startup founders like you?
I would say it's particularly suitable for startup founders like me. I think that most gold card, I don't think that's who most gold card holders are. I think if you were to actually get in there, so I've been in a room because they actually invite, I don't know if I should say this publicly, but they invite gold card holders to various parties. Like at the Meet Taipei, there'll be an after hours event and all gold card holders will be invited. Because there's not that many of us. Maybe at any given time, there's something like 1,000 to 1,500 of us in the whole country. There's maybe 3,000 to 4,000 holders, but many of them are not here. So they invite us, and I'll talk with the other gold card founders or holders, and most of them are here. They are wealthy individuals who qualified through salary. A lot of them have, or a non-trivial portion of them have either Asian ancestry or a software background, and so the salary requirement is really trivial. And then a lot of them, the rest are directors of company or they work in finance. I think that covers probably something like 60 to 80% in my experience, which may not be correct. Startup founders like me that are just trying to start a company are on the less affluent side are much rarer. I haven't actually met too many others. Even the other startup founders that I know that have this tend to be more affluent, tend to have more money.
Okay. So yeah, let's wrap this up. Let's talk about your action plans. How could we help you here in our show?
Well, we are getting ready to go to CES. We got a spot. We're going to go with the Taiwan contingent, so we'll be at Eureka Park. I would say come visit us in January. Hopefully you will be able to try our new exercise machine. I think that you can go to our website, loveyourstride.com, and join our mailing list. Or you can download our app, which is still kind of basic, but we're updating every week, which is called Stride 360, the numbers. And if you're interested in being involved, reach out to me via the website or my email, which is j@stride-360.com. But I think that some really exciting things are happening. And I think maybe in January, there will be some big news. We'll see.
All right. Thank you, Joseph, for gracing our show. And for those of you who want to know more about the Entrepreneur Visa and Gold Card, you may head on over to our website, www.startupintaiwan.com, and hopefully you could subscribe so we could provide you with more of these content. Until next time.
Thank you, Paolo.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.